Tension and trauma gets trapped in the body, but with trauma release exercises, there's a powerful way to release it. It was created by David Berceli, who was working in war zones when he noticed two things. He realized two things. First of all, when we're in danger, for example, a bomb's going off near us or some projectiles coming towards us, we automatically drop into the fetal position and crunch up and make ourselves small. But he also noticed that, at least when we're young, we have an innate capacity to tremble, which releases some of the stress and the tension and the trauma that gets trapped when we do that. But the problem is, as we get a bit older, to the age of 8, 9, 10, and the ego starts to develop, we start to override that natural capacity to tremble because we don't want to be perceived as weak, for example. And the problem then becomes that trauma, that tension, that stress gets trapped in the body. So David Berceli created this really simple technique and steps to reactivate that natural trembling mechanism, particularly around the hips and the psoas muscle, which is known as the seat of fight or flight. And they're really easy to do at home. And I did a session with David Berceli. You're about to watch it now. It might look a little bit bizarre, but it was really enjoyable. And I came away feeling really light and refreshed. So check it out now and don't be alarmed. It was fine.
Okay, so lay down on your back comfortably. Put the bottoms of your feet together, let your knees fall open. Now, when you're ready, Simon, you want to pick your pelvis up off the floor, keeping your knees open. And only pick it up as high as you feel comfortable physically. And you're going to hold this position for about 1 minute. Now, what you'll begin to notice here is a little bit of maybe bouncing or rocking back and forth, some type of movement that's autonomic to the body, because we have it in a position that it's not usually in. And the reason we do this is you've inverted what's called the fetal response, where you pull the whole body forward. We're extending the whole body.
I feel a little bit of subtle trembling in my hips.
And that's fine, because we're going to use that little bit of trembling to try to move through some of the deep tension muscles that we hold chronic tension in.
Feel the trembling come on a little bit stronger. It's still quite subtle, but it's definitely coming on a bit stronger.
So in one sense, Simon, what we've done is we've hacked your nervous system, meaning we're not using your ego. I'm not telling you to make the tremor. Your body is doing it. And your body's doing it in dialogue with the brain, but with very primitive parts of the brain. That's why you can talk to me and feel comfortable, and yet your body is doing something that you're not really commanding it to do.
We've definitely got a few more. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
All that little small trembling that was happening, that fine stuff, that was helping to loosen the muscle groups so that they could actually start to move. And can you describe how your legs are making that movement?
They just are.
Okay.
They're just sort of jolting around. My ego doesn't have anything to do with it.
I'm just having you stay here because I know this movement will create a bigger movement. There you go. Right. So you see that this tremor mechanism has the ability to travel through the body. So first we saw that it loosened your legs. Once it did that, it shot straight up into the torso. It was working the abdominal muscles and your lower back muscles. And then after it loosened those, it went back down into the legs again. As it loosens each muscle group or each fascia pattern, it moves to another location so it can collectively bring the whole organism back together as one functioning unit. There it goes again. So here's the pattern. Bend that right knee just 1 inch off the ground and then drop it.
Oh, God. Wow.
That didn't take much.
I can't believe my right leg is doing this. It sort of feels like, am I doing it? But I'm not doing it, It's weird.
I think the greatest thing about this tremor mechanism is you have to have patience with your body, because tissue does not move as fast as the ego does.
There's absolutely no way I could do this consciously. Absolutely no way. And I've never experienced movements like these before doing TRE naturally.
So just bend that left knee up a little bit and then drop it.
My right one's still going. My right one wants to hog it. I'll try it again.
Yeah, you sometimes have to do it about 10 times because you already know you have a different tension pattern. There you go. You have a different tension pattern in your left side than your right side. So they're going to move differently.
Yeah, this is much more dramatic actually than the right side. That's unbelievable.
I have so many people who pick their heads up to look at their body because they can feel what it's doing, but they can't believe it. So they have to see it. Slide your right leg down. Keep them both down. There you go.
This is ridiculous.
See, this is what's going to get you to feel connected to the earth again. There you go. And there goes the diaphragm. The body's done. Right there, Simon, it told you that's as much as I can do right now. But that's a huge amount, what it just did. So what I did that for was to show you that if you understand what the tremor mechanism's trying to do, which is basically put the whole body back together, but it has to move all those individual body parts because they've all been separated because of all the tensions and traumas we've had in life. It wants to bring the whole thing back into one organized, pulsating mechanism or organism.
So that was a session of trauma release exercises with its founder, David Berceli. Now, if you want to find out more about TRE, I've recorded an episode really digging into the hows, the whys, the whats of tension release exercises with David Berceli. It's on the Life Lessons podcast, so do check that out. And if you want to find out more about TRE, I've got all the links to his website and other videos in the show notes on my podcast. So that's the Life Lessons podcast with me, Simon Mundie, doing trauma release exercises, or rather talking about trauma release exercises with its founder, David Berceli.